should probably reconsider that.
I was opening it up and then the screen will find out.
You have to log into the flag.
Okay. Let's call the meeting to order. Those who care to, please stand for an opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. Mr. Cameron, if you would.
Well, let us pray. Dear Father, thank you for this day and just thank you for the beautiful weather. Lord, I just pray that you would be with us tonight as we make the decisions for our community. Also pray, Lord, for this nation, God, through the things that are going on. And just I pray for unity, God, as they make the decisions that are best for our nation and just come together on it. Be with us tonight. Take us home safely. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, we will open tonight up with a couple of proclamations. We have Crime Prevention Month and Fire Prevention Week. I think we made a note last year, that one gets a week and one gets a month. But we'll start off with Fire Prevention Week. Whereas the City of Republic, Missouri is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Republic, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern, both locally and nationally, and homes are the locations where people are at greatest risk for fire. And whereas home fires killed 2,735 people in the United States in 2016, according to the National Fire Protection Association, and fire departments in the United States responded to 352,000 house fires. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half. And whereas Republic's residents should install smoke alarms in every sleeping room outside each separate sleeping area and on every level of the home. And whereas Republic's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education. And whereas the 2018 Fire Prevention Week, Look, Listen, Learn, Be Aware, Fire Can Happen Anywhere, effectively serves to remind us that we need to take personal steps to increase our safety from fire. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Ussery, Mayor for the City of Republic and the State of Missouri, do hereby proclaim October 7th through the 13th as Fire Prevention Week, and urge our citizens to support the safety efforts of Republic's fire and emergency services during Fire Prevention Week 2018. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Republic the second day of October 2018. And we have firefighters from Republic, Tim King and Sterling Flagg, here to accept the proclamation. Good, how are you? Yeah, that's... And now on to Crime Prevention Month. Whereas our goal is to build a strong community which discourages crime and works cooperatively with justice, law enforcement, schools, youth groups, faith-based partners, and businesses to build public awareness and involvement in crime prevention activities. And whereas we must all work together to help make our community a safe place to work and live. And whereas effective crime prevention programs succeed because of partnerships with law enforcement, other government agencies, civic groups, schools, faith communities, businesses, and individuals as they help to nurture communal responsibility and install pride. And whereas it is essential to continue to distribute crime prevention information to the public and encourage their involvement in crime prevention programs in order to help reduce the number of crime victims. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Ussery, Mayor for the City of Republic, Missouri, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2018 as Crime Prevention Month, and urge all citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, and businesses to invest in the power of prevention and work together to make the City of Republic, Missouri a safer and stronger, more caring community. In testimony whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and affixed the seal of the City of Republic this second day of October 2018. We have from the Police Department, Jamie Burks and Brian Sells, Lieutenant and Chief. I'm kind of afraid to stand between these. Okay, moving on to citizen participation. Anyone who would like to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Hello, like we've spoken earlier, my name is Kurt Rook. I've lived in Republic since 1997. I live on 552 East Donna. And for you who don't know where that is, that's the dead-end street right behind Domino's. As you're traveling west on 60, you pass Taco Bell. That is our access to our street. And that median extends further than it needs to. Personally, we can't safely get into our street. This weekend, a situation arose. It used to be the old cottage house. We used to be able to cut into their access, come up through their driveway, and come out. Saturday morning, there's a chain up. We can't get through. So, us personally in the peanut gallery back there is a huge safety concern because we have several teenage drivers who travel that road, get home 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we've all had people flip us off, honk at us, because that's our only access onto our street. And it's a big safety concern on our part. We've got several individuals who are construction people, mow yards, have trailers. We can't get it, we have no access to our street. Now we have access going out west, but turning into our street, going south, we don't know what to do. And like I spoke to you before, originally, I guess I'm the spokesman. I've been there, I was there when it was 2 lanes. They extended it to 4 lanes. Originally, they were supposed to tear down the cottage house, which was the old rental place. And that's where we were supposed to go out. And everything would have been fine. And then all of a sudden, we're stuck with this situation now. And, you know, I think we're all respectful. We don't drive on our grass. It's just easier for us and safer for us to come in that way. And we're just looking for a solution, basically.
Understand.
So,
Well, thank you, sir. Obviously, we will have to do some research on our behalf what we can do, since that is a MoDOT.
right.
MoDOT takes care of the highway, but
like
the city can advocate for the citizens.
Right.
To look for a solution, and that's what
and we do understand that's private property, but it's just all of a sudden,
yeah.
you know, when, like I said, I've been cutting through there for 10+ years.
Yep.
And now we don't have a way to basically get into our street without circling around a half a mile.
Okay.
You know.
Sir, we'll have you come to the podium if you'd like to speak.
So, you want to say something?
We'll have to have you come to the podium. We have to do that to maintain.
Okay, come on up here.
We don't allow any speaking from the audience, sorry.
Well, we
Never
talk.
been to this before in my
Yeah,
life.
I understand.
But like he's saying, we're just trying to find a safe way to come into our neighborhood, you know, onto our street, other than getting hit, causing a wreck, something like that, when we're trying to make that turn. I mean, small vehicles, yeah, you can dart over, then make a semi U-turn. Bigger vehicles, you cannot do that with. Which me, I have a GMC extended bed, you know, extended cab and everything. You cannot make a safe turn there. That's why we use that parking lot. And if we don't have a safe way in, you know, driving through, other than driving way down, turning around and coming back, you know, then, I mean, it's kind of, you know, it's defeat the purpose of everything. You know, they're trying to make us now go down and turn around. And of course, we don't need to be going down and turning around. We need a safe way into our street where we don't have to worry about it. And like he said too, that we have a bunch of teenage kids. There's a ton of teenage kids down that road, and you know, and they're not experienced drivers like us older ones, but they need a safe way in too, because it's more of issues with them and having a safe way for everybody.
Yeah.
Safety concern.
Understand. Sir, can I have your name and address for the record?
Richard Smith, and it's 601 East Donna Street.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I realize there are a lot of citizens here that came from Donna Street, so I don't want it to go unnoticed by council that you guys did what we always ask people to do, and have a spokesman or 1 or 2 people, so you're not giving the same message 20 times, because we get the message. We understand it is an issue, And on our behalf, as a city, we can advocate for the citizens to MoDOT to try to come up with some kind of a solution. Okay, so anyone else wishing to speak to anything not on the agenda, please step to the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes. Seeing none, citizen participation is closed. Moving on, need a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
And of note that their approved vendor list and billing adjustments is involved in that consent agenda. Do we have any questions about either of those two items as they're unusual in the consent agenda? None? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. On the board commission committee schedule. Of note, next city council meeting is going to be October 16th, 2018, followed by the next one, which is November 6th, 2018. Moving on to old business. Need a motion and a second for the second reading of bill number 18-39.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries 8-0. Ms. Brenda?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending the zoning code and official map by changing the classification of approximately 0.48 acres from medium-density single-family residential R1N to commercial office institutional CO owned by Alex James Clark and Marcia Diane Clark and located at 1101 East Elm Street.
Thank you. I need a motion and a second to open final passage of bill number 18-39.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. We have had a public hearing, we've had citizen participation, and we've had a presentation. Do we have any questions for Mr. Tyson before we move on to a roll call vote? Any questions for Mr. Tyson? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Self?
No.
Councilmember Wilson?
No.
Councilmember Jones?
No.
Councilmember Brashears?
No.
Councilmember Dykeman?
No.
Councilmember Russell?
No.
Councilmember Duran?
Aye.
Councilmember Franklin?
Aye.
Motion fails 6-2. Moving on to the next agenda item, still under old business, I need a motion and a second for the second reading of bill number 18-40.
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries 8-0. Ms. Brenda?
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, amending section 705.120.
Okay, I need a motion and a second to open final passage of bill number 18-40.
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. We have Mr. Walker here for any questions, comments, or concerns before we move on to a roll call vote. Do we have anything from council? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmember Franklin?
Aye.
Councilmember Duran?
Aye.
Councilmember Russell?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0. There are no new business or first readings. Moving on to other business. Resolution number 18-R-27, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Republic, Missouri, approving and authorizing the city administrator to submit a renewal application for hall provider of bingo premises. I have a motion and a second.
Motion. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Ms. Brenda, or you're presenting, correct?
Yeah. This is our annual bingo license to be the hall provider for the senior center. And like I said, this comes around every year. That's about it.
Do we have any questions from council regarding this agenda item?
Pretty rowdy over there.
Okay. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries 8-0. And that is the end of the agenda. On to reports from staff, Mr. Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So the consent agenda is kind of a compliance with our last audit, if you recall. Basically, a couple of things that were recommended is anytime we make a building adjustment for someone, instead of us holding that up, I've pretty much allowed staff to make an adjustment where they see fit. Say there's been a reason for water that was causing and they fixed it, we provide consideration so they're not just being completely gouged or some sense. So we work with the resident to try to find a way to do that. I did not want to take that privilege away or that ability for our staff to make those decisions. We're doing the right thing for our community. But also when the auditor finds those things, we have to have some level of accountability, which I understand to say it's not someone, a relative or a friend. We're providing these on a routine basis. So these are things that are checked by staff, but also something we're writing in the consent agenda. The approved vendors list, another step that is a little bit extra that was required. So looking forward to just complying. So what you're seeing in those is why we're adding them is just to comply with some of the recommendations that were provided in the audit. I would encourage everyone, if you get a chance, I know everyone's busy, to stop by across the way, the one-stop shop that was created for all the staff that we kind of moved out of Public Works into that building. That office area, or the conference room area was completed this week. It's very nice when the development community comes in and is working with you. I actually had one of our main developers come in today and say, wow, that's a game changer. That's significantly different than the little space that they were in before. And so it's a very nice space that we have that's available for the developers that are coming in looking at our community. It's a very nice conference area. I think it represents us well. It represents the growth and the direction that we're going. So if you get a chance, you're not probably going to get to see it tonight because it's closed, but if you get a chance, just stop by, or maybe one night before a council meeting, we can open it up and you can stop by and take a look at that. Garrett, I am going to ask you to provide that data if you don't mind. Garrett provided some information today that showed that our housing building permits further through the third quarter for our community were up 33% year over last year. But I want him, he provided some information today that I think is very worth what is setting Republic apart in our development. I think it's very important for you to hear as a collective body what we're doing to change the culture in the development world and what they're seeing and the amount of time it takes to get a development process done. So Garrett, would you just share the numbers of what we're tracking data now for how long it takes? And I asked Garrett just to share with you some of that information real quickly to give you an insight of what staff is being able to kick out for our development community.
So if you all recall, at some point, or very early in 2018, we presented to staff sort of a policy, an internal policy for how we were intending to conduct ourselves within the context of having a coordinated plan review team that would deal directly with development proposals, building plans, subdivision plats, a policy and some instructions that we had developed in keeping with the city's vision, mission, values that we were going to implement with a team of city staff in an effort to improve our relationships and improve our conduct as it relates to development proposals. Since that time, throughout all of 2018, we've been tracking information as to how long is it taking the city to basically respond to applicants and to development proposals. Because if you talk to developers or people in that particular community, in that world, one of the most frustrating things that they experience, one of their largest complaints, is how long it takes. Right? How long is this going to take me to get a building permit? How long is it going to take me to go through this particular review and finally have a decision? Or how long is it going to take me to even get information back from city staff? And so we've been tracking that data. How long is it taking us? And so as of the end of the third quarter of 2018, we have, for commercial building permits, we have in terms of number of days that we have that, where the ball is in our court as a city, we have that now at less than 13 business days, where your application, your plans are in our hands for only 13 days before we are issuing a permit. If you look at the number of calendar days from the time that you file your application to when you have a building permit, that is currently averaging about 37. And there are a couple of outliers in there where if you remove those outliers, I think our average is actually closer to 30 days. So you can actually get a commercial building permit on average through these first 3 quarters of 2018. And we've done a lot of commercial building permits this year in an average of about 30 calendar days, where where the city has your plans, where the ball is in our court for less than half of that time, which means that the majority of the time that's being taken between the time you file your application and the time that you get your permit, the majority of that time, the ball is in your hands or in your architect's hands, which is the position we want to be in. We do not want to be the delay. We want to be helping with the solution. So I said that credit goes to our plan review team. Karen leads that team along with Garrett Brickner, and they are doing some really excellent work turning what that tells me, having done it for a number of years myself and having been a part of that and seeing how things can really go wrong. To be able to hit those numbers, it tells me that not only are they working quickly, but they're also communicating fairly effectively as well, because those two things go hand in hand. You cannot have an efficient plan review process if you're not also communicating effectively. You got a bunch of confusion, it's going to cause a bunch of delay. So that tells me we're doing pretty well on both fronts in terms of being quick, but also being clear.
So to give you perspective, typically 30 days, a lot of those are going 3 and 4 months in certain locations. So in a market where the money is moving right now, and we'd love to say it's always going to stay that way, when people are looking to move money or create development, they're trying to find that quickly and they're not looking for a lot of barriers. And so what we're seeing is a lot of people moving money into our community to do development, that they're ready to move on it because they don't want to wait 4 to 5 months to get those licenses. They want to see them much quicker. So I commend the staff for doing that. When I heard that, what I love about it, by putting all that together, but I love is that we're creating metrics. And so we're going to put that metric on our website, the average length of time it is taking to get a commercial building license. We're going to market that information to say, hey, if you want to do business, this is how long it's taken us, that you can expect our portion of that to be done. And I think that's some of the stuff we're going to continue to be pushing out in our communication plan. But I appreciate the work that the staff has done, but I believe a lot of it had to do when we consolidated that into one area. And I appreciate the work that you all do because they are crammed into one space. And they're getting a lot of that stuff done, and we're going to have to continue to work on that. But I appreciate that those type of deliverables don't just happen. And so I want to communicate that. And then lastly, just it seems like you can do a lot of big things in the community, but when you do striping in town, everybody's really excited. So we got about, I don't remember, 5 miles or whatever, how many miles we were doing today of striping done. I may be way off 5. You can give me a thumbs up. So yeah, but thank you, Andrew, for getting that all done for $3,000. That's all I have.
Yeah, it's a little bit cheaper than what it was last time.
Don't remind me.
So I've only got a couple things, and I would just say that, remind everybody that we have Pumpkin Days this Saturday, which is a really big event for the City of Republic, and it's enjoyable to see everybody come out to that and have a great time. I think it's a good draw for the city, and a lot of people wait on that every year just to come down here, and we like to have them come down and buy something to eat, maybe their groceries and some gas before they go home. So the other thing is something Garrett didn't talk about is the brain power that's in that one building over there. I know you're not going to stand out there and brag on yourself, but the level of expertise we have over there, I'd venture to say that in a lot of cases they're subject matter experts, and any city would be lucky to have them. And it's attributed to the growth of the city as it is now. So anybody who says this is the same old Republic probably they have to have their eyes closed, because it's not. You can develop here very easily. We've made it to the point, I think, now where the only roadblocks will be the ones that they place in front of themselves, because we've torn all of ours down. So thank you guys very much. It's so much better to hear from citizens and say, man, it was so easy to do that in Republic, or instead of building it over here, I'm going to move to Republic and build it, because that's where the buzz is. And to you as well, David. I mean, we are in a prime opportunity, and man, it's just the city is poised to really do great things. Look at Panda Express, Jimmy's Egg that eventually is going to start building, Flat Creek, the shopping center there, and not to mention the building permits up 33% over last year, which is 33%?
33% year over year.
33% over last year. So that tells a story, which will in turn affect our franchise fees, and everything just blossoms from there. So it is a good time to be in the City of Republic. Last thing I have is I want to thank Mr. Brashears for carrying the water for me while I had to travel for work. That's not usually something you like to announce to everybody on YouTube before you do it, so your house doesn't get broken into. But I do appreciate Mr. Brashears taking the chair and facing the battle that he had before him. So I just appreciate you doing a great job, and it's always nice to have you to be able to do that. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Bashir.
Really wasn't a battle. It went fine. It is really good news here about the building increase. That's great. Other than that, just welcome back, Mayor. Glad you're back.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones.
The only thing I really have to say is that the last week and a half, I've had several citizens reach out for a couple of different things that we've dealt with. One that we've heard about tonight, and the other things that we've dealt with this evening. And that is the great thing about that is that communication has been respectful and professional, and is really the way it should be done. And when citizens reach out and do that in that manner, I appreciate it very much that you guys have done that, taking the time out of your Tuesday evening to come here tonight. And that says a lot, because it's frustrating when you hear complaints about things from people that don't get involved. They sit back and they don't. And so it's great to have that participation from you. So I appreciate you guys doing that. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wilson.
Well, looking forward to Pumpkin Days. It's always good. Also, I'm glad to see that planning and development has cut the time down. I don't know exactly how long it used to take, but I've been harping about that for years and years, that they needed to get something done there so things would go quicker.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Self.
I've got nothing to add other than what someone has already said, so I'll pass it on to
Mr. Franklin.
Super excited for Pumpkin Days for certain. That's always a fun time here in Republic, something I always look forward to. Very thankful for all the people that have made that happen here in Republic for all the years and just made that such a terrific event. I'd like to thank Mr. Nelson and all the staff that addressed the situation we had there at Ellen Park with the crosswalk. That definitely makes evening driving, it makes it much more visible if someone were to be in the road. So thank you very much for addressing that. And also thank you for the advice from Councilmember Jones on the Paintball Warrior. That's they're pretty serious about it, and I'm very sore. But got to meet a lot of great people from the DAV, so that was a very fun event.
If you're sore, you were doing it right.
Very sore.
All right. Thank you, sir. Mr. Hammond.
I don't have anything to add that hasn't already been said.
Okay. Mr. Russell.
Nothing to add, so I echo and stuff.
Everybody must be ready to go. Mr. Dykeman.
Well, I just like, if you haven't, any of you hadn't had the opportunity today to go down Hines, past the senior center, you need to, because thanks to the city staff of getting in there and getting it done, we have a new sign. The senior center now is officially renamed Jerry Poole Senior Friendship Center, and it really looks nice, and we're very glad to have it. And I know the people there appreciate that center, and the city puts there for the seniors. And if any of you haven't been there, for lunch or whatever, come and see, because there's a lot of good things going on there, and this something that's going to make us look better even yet.
Yep. And we certainly know Ms. Poole has made some contributions to that. So it's deserving that she has her name on that.
Yes, very definitely.
Okay. Anything else from council? If not, I'll ask for a motion and a second to go into an executive session. No further action other than announcing adjournment by the mayor shall take place after an executive session that is scheduled as the last matter on the agenda, unless otherwise stated on the agenda, or as allowed per RSMO 610.02. And we will be covering RSMO 610.021.1, pending and or potential litigation, closed session, closed vote, closed record. We have a motion and a second.
Motion. Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Self?
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Brashears?
Aye.
Councilmember Dykeman?
Aye.
Councilmember Russell?
Aye.
Councilmember Duran?
Aye.
Councilmember Franklin?
Aye.
Motion carries 8-0. We will adjourn the regular meeting, take a 5-minute recess, and re-adjourn for executive session. Thank you all for coming.